Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 3 of the CROTCH ROCKET SPORTS Parlays and Picks. And I'm going to be having Caedon join me today with a little video of his own that we're going to go through. But week 2 was a good week. We actually lost 5 games. In week 1, we lost 4. And so still, if you see the link in our post at CROTCHRocketSports.com, we still actually are doing one better, maybe even 2 better than the actual quote-unquote experts. The expert pickers at CBS Sports and ESPN and all those other places. So Caedon and I tearing it up right now. So let's go ahead and get into week 3. So we've already had one game. That was San Francisco against the Giants. That was on Thursday night. San Francisco handled them pretty easily. The first half was a lot closer than it should have been, but Brock Purdy and San Francisco pulled away in the second half, giving San Francisco that win. They remain undefeated at 3-0. And so our next game takes us to the, let's see, who's home? Miami's actually at home against the Broncos, and for the first time this year, Denver is actually not favored for the first time. Miami is favored by 6.5 points. That's a plus 235 money line. So what that means is that if you were to actually pick Denver, the underdog, if you put $1 on that, you would win $2.35 on top of that dollar. And so you can see that again in our post there at CROTCH ROCKET Sports. I know this video is on YouTube, but if you're actually on our site, you can actually see these picks and this little spreadsheet snippet of it. The next game, we've got Indianapolis going up against Baltimore. This is one of the bigger point spreads of the week at 8 points. Baltimore probably going to take care of Indianapolis, especially since Anthony Richardson will not be playing for the Colts. He looked pretty good in the first couple of weeks, got a couple passing touchdowns, a couple running touchdowns, but he got a concussion. Him and Bryce Young both. Bryce Young for the Panthers, not going to be playing, but we'll get to that game here in just a little bit. We've also got the Jaguars taking on the Houston Texans in Jacksonville. That's another 8-point spread. That looks like Jacksonville should be able to take care of Houston, even though Jacksonville didn't score a touchdown last week against Kansas City, but the Houston Texans are not the Chiefs, obviously. So we've got the Washington Commandos at home against the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo should easily take care of them right there. That's a 6.5-point spread. Surprised that it's not bigger, but I've got Buffalo beating Washington at home. Then we have the Lions playing the Falcons. The Falcons aren't as good as their record, I don't think. They played some good games. They beat the Packers in that last second, if you remember that. But I think Detroit is actually going to take care of them this week. It's a little bit of a toss-up, but it is a 4-point spread, and I think Detroit definitely takes care of them in Detroit. Next, we got the Packers and the Saints in Green Bay. That is a 1-point spread. There's 2 games this week that only have a 1-point difference. A little bit surprised that that's not bigger. I don't know if it's because Derek Carr is with the Saints or what, but I think Green Bay is going to beat New Orleans fairly easily there in Green Bay. And then next we have the Jets are at home without Aaron Rodgers. They kind of, I think they're on the brink of kind of falling apart here a little bit. Their defense is still pretty darn decent, but I don't know. I see New England actually beating them just because of how smart that Belichick is. He's really, really good at taking away what you're really, really good at, and if you're not really good at 2 or 3 things, they're going to beat you. So I see New England barely beating them. New England is a 2.5-point favorite in that game. And then next we got the Browns playing the Titans, and Cleveland is favored by 3.5 points. Second week in a row that Cleveland is favored. They were favored to beat the Steelers last week, but they lost. The Steelers won by, was it 2 or 3 or something like that? But the Steelers did beat the Browns last week. Not this week. Cleveland's going to beat the Titans in Cleveland. Next, we got Minnesota at home against the Chargers. Just a couple of days ago, the Chargers were favored. Now Minnesota's favored, and it's only a 1-point spread. And so I've got the Chargers actually beating Minnesota at home, even though Minnesota's favored. So wouldn't really call that an upset pick or an underdog pick. The point, the spread's only 1. So, that's kind of a coin flip. But I do see the Chargers beating Minnesota. Next, we have the Seahawks against the Panthers. Seattle playing a lot better than people thought that they were. And so I've got Seattle beating Carolina. 1, because Carolina is not that good, and also Bryce Young's not playing. I don't even know who the backup is in Carolina. But I see Seattle winning that. That is a 5.5-point spread. Seattle should easily win. And then there's 2 spreads this week that are 12.5 points. The first one is the Chiefs at home against the Bears. 12.5-point favorites, and Kansas City's going to win that one. Not much to say here. The next one, Arizona is at home. The Cardinals playing against my Dallas Cowboys, and I think Dallas should take care of them easily. Another 12.5-point spread. I don't know if Dallas will win by that much, but Dallas will beat them. Trayvon Diggs being out for the rest of the year is a huge blow on defense for Dallas, but I don't think that's going to show its ugly face this week. Not against the Cardinals. Next game, we've got the Vegas Raiders. They're at home playing against Pittsburgh. This is another one that's just a 2.5 point spread. This is going to be really, really close. But I like what I saw out of Pittsburgh the other night, Monday night. Whenever they beat the Browns, I do see Pittsburgh barely beating the Vegas Raiders. So give me the Steelers. Then the next game, two 2-0 teams. It's going to be Tampa Bay and Philadelphia. Philly is going to Tampa. And while Tampa's playing pretty well, and I do love Baker Mayfield a lot. You guys that know me know that I love me some Baker Mayfield. But Philly's too good. They're going to beat them. Philly's starting to get a lot of injuries right now on defense. But that's not going to show itself this week either. I think that they beat Tampa Bay fairly easily. And then the last game of the week, the Bengals are at home against the Rams. I'm picking the Rams on this one. It's a 2.5 point spread. Either team I could see winning very easily, but Cincinnati just hasn't shown enough yet. They're better than what they're playing, and so I don't know. Since you could beat them by 30, but it could also be a really close game. And so, in one that I wasn't super sure about, I am going to take the Rams to beat the Bengals. And so those are my picks for the week. Just go down them again. I got San Francisco, Miami, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Buffalo, Detroit, Green Bay, New England, Cleveland, the Chargers, Seattle, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Eagles, and the Rams. Thanks, everybody. Let's have an awesome week 3. Okay, and now that you guys have my picks, let me get my colleague, my man, the one and only, Caedon Crouch. Caedon, you're up.
Hey guys, my name is Caedon from CROTCH ROCKET SPORTS, and this is my Week 3 NFL Parlay. First off, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my initial parlay, and then I'm going to explain why here in a second. We're going to have the Dolphins minus 6.5 the Denver Broncos. And we're going to have the Los Angeles Rams plus 2.5 the Cincinnati Bengals. And then kind of going against my colleague Bryan here, I'm going to have the Tennessee Titans plus 3 covering the Cleveland Browns. And why? The Titans have begun the season 2-0 against the spread, after starting last season in which they were 8-2 against the spread. They don't have that superstar flair that many of the juggernauts in the NFL have, but they're consistently tough to beat, and they have an excellent coach in Mike Vrabel. Not to mention the Browns, they're stuck with Deshaun Watson, who frankly is playing like a bottom 5 quarterback right now, and they just lost Nick Chubb, their star running back for the whole season. I don't know how the Browns are going to recover from this, but I don't know if they're going to be very good for the rest of the season. Let's talk about the Broncos at the Dolphins. The Broncos, for me, are questionable at the moment, and until they put together a few more impressive performances, they're going to remain at the bottom of the chart. I just don't see them doing very great. They're also 0-2, and 0-2 against the spread with 2 straight home losses, and they just blew an 18-point lead to the Commanders. Pretty embarrassing stuff, guys. Not to mention they're the most penalized team in the NFL and now have the daunting task of stopping the Dolphins and a league-leading passer in Tua. The Rams. Let's talk about the Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Rams have played exceedingly well, blowing expectations out of the water thus far. They upset the Seattle Seahawks in Week 1, and they covered by 21.5 points. They played a hard-fought game against the San Fran in Week 2, and honestly, I think that was a good loss for them. I think they played a very good game, and I don't think they should be embarrassed by that loss. And the Bengals, Joe Burrow is likely out with a calf injury. All points show to that. And their backup, Jake Browning, has not even completed a pass in his NFL career. So this is going to be very exciting. And things are not looking hot for Cincinnati for me. Anyways, guys, those were my Week 3 NFL parlays, and hope you guys enjoy.